what are the elements to build a community? People are the greatest asset, or are they? Are they a tool sometimes by the organization to get things done? If they really are the greatest asset, then treat them like they're a serious asset. Often they're not first because you get caught up in daily work just every day. They're living, breathing, evolving. So too should your organization, whether you're small or gigantic as you go through. Should we treat all employees the same? They're actually not the same. So maybe you need to sit down and look on your philosophy. In general, the rules should apply, but maybe you sit down and need to work with some people more than others in the process. A community is based upon authentic relationships, and you have to have some radical responsibility to make certain that you have a sustainable, value-driven behavior as you go through. Here's 7 steps I want to go over in the process of building the community. First of all, define company values collaboratively. They shouldn't be top down. They should be the top directing the process, but having a dialogue with your employees to make certain that they understand what you want, understand what your expectations are, but then you turn around and you do something really strange. You listen to your employees. My mom told me, David, God gave you 1 mouth and 2 ears. You should listen twice as much as you talk, okay? Then you sit down and listen. Here's what you want. Get some input and develop a shared vision of values in the process. Do it collaboratively. Look what your company aspires to. Have a dialogue and sit back there and create it that way. And you need to go back and revisit your values on a regular basis. Maybe not necessarily every year, but at least every 3rd year, you want to go back and do that. Define expected behaviors. What do those values look like in practice? Have that dialogue as well. Most people don't even know what the company's values are, but how do you achieve those values in the process? They establish 4 or 5 behaviors for each value, and each one sits down and looks what they're supposed to do. Tell them what you expect out of them, and they'll reach those ideals. If they don't know, they won't respond. But also make certain they have input, and you'll be surprised how rich some of the input's going to be. But what a value-driven behavior looks like. Adopt radical responsibility. I'm a little bit cautious on this one. I believe in it, except for the fact that some people are too outspoken because they're almost hypocritical in their value system, in the aspect of they can always criticize others, but can't look at themselves. Make certain that if you're expecting everybody to hold on to certain values that you agreed upon in the process, that they have the ability to sit down and say, I don't see that matching the values of the corporation. If you're a boss and the employee tells you that, you need to sit down there and not respond, okay? Because it could be they're being disrespectful, but maybe they're being honest, but listen and go back and reset it because of the fact that they're gonna look to the leadership to be responsible. And no matter what happens, all values come from the top down. If you have somebody over here talking, and they're doing this over here, then then they're going to do this, what they see happening rather than what's being said over here. It's incredible how hypocritical sometimes we are with ethics and values that we believe in this, except it simply isn't true. You don't believe that at all. You practice this. Whatever you practice, the employees in the organization will follow that. Make onboarding employee-centric. Listen, I've been in human resources a long time. It's incredible how lazy supervisors are about a new employee coming in. There's no preparation. They got somebody coming in, they expect to walk into this job and be there for 10 years, but they don't tell them what to expect. They want HR to do it. Well, HR does policies they do about how to fill out a form properly and everything else. It's not HR's job to orientate them to your culture, how you want them as a supervisor. As a supervisor, make certain it's employee-centric. Have a solid orientation to make certain you optimize the employee's performance. The first day they show up, the supervisor needs to clear the calendar and spend half a day with that employee to make certain that employee knows what's expected. Set them up with different people in the department to show them different skills. And then for the first 2 months, a weekly review with the supervisor to make sure what's going on. And then a regular review throughout the entire first year. There should be no reason why the supervisor can't meet weekly for the first 2 months and then twice a month, every month after that, to make certain that employee knows what the values, make certain they know what their job is, and that they're encouraging them to be successful. Once you sit down and get past that first year, even past the first 6 months, the employee needs to have a good understanding of their work, or they shouldn't be there in the process. Or maybe the supervisor needs to know how to explain things better. Make it all employee-centric and set the employee up for success by working with them in the process. Transform your managers into coaches. It's really different. A manager gives direction, do this. Here's how I want you to do this. It's a different mindset in the process. And then they lead, they mentor, and they support. That was really good. I'd like to change just one thing though over here. It'd be absolutely perfect. You're almost there. You're about 85%, but I want you to get it 100% because I know that you have it in you to be one of the best employees we have. They work collaboratively with individual team members. Make the one-on-one, talking you to the other person, a powerful tool. Meet them involved weekly, a 5-minute check-in. Hey, how's things going? Anything good? Any good ideas? We had this problem. What are your thoughts on that? Really, you'd be surprised how often an employee, when they're not asked, they'll have a brilliant mindset of what to do to solve something, and you're trying to make this big giant thing and they solve it with a simple phone call. So it depends what it is. Go over different things. And of all things, this is a big deal. Clear obstacles to enable top-notch work. Sometimes we create policies and procedures which are nothing but dead-end pains, and people find ways to work around them because it's sloppily done and because it's nothing more than somebody's ego. They want to sign off on a form. Remove obstacles to make top-notch work. You'd be surprised how successful your employees will become. So that being said, here are the 7 traits. Define the company values collaboratively, establish expected behaviors, adopt radical responsibility, make onboarding employee-centric, transform managers and coaches, make one-on-one a powerful tool, and clear obstacles to enable top-notch work. That's all about building a community. Take care.